No price talk and no Lambos. This is not another crypto podcast. Welcome to Ignition. I'm your host, Jillian, and each week we will be looking at the problems solved by blockchain. I'll be going deep with the people building the apps and communities which are changing the world around us. Well, hello and welcome to the show with me, Jillian Gotzel. I'm delighted to say my guest today is Fred Krueger, who is the CEO of Lynxchain, Lynxchain. Hello and welcome to the show, Fred.
Thank you, Jillian, and nice to be here.
No, great. So first of all, you guys did the Lynx Wallet, okay? And everyone knows the Lynx Wallet, it was clever, smart, easy. Tell me a bit about when you set up the Lynx Wallet, first of all, and what was your vision for it?
So we started the Lynx Wallet at the time EOS came out, right? So right in June of 2018, we were building another app and we realized that we wanted to have a wallet that worked very well with these apps. And at that point, there wasn't the concept of a wallet working with a mobile app was basically non-existent. There was no mobile apps running in wallets. So we created really the first mobile app in the world on any blockchain that ran on mobile wallets.
I didn't realize you were the first. Congratulations.
And that was EOS Bet. So EOS Bet was running on Lynx, and it was this betting app that you could sort of bet, play dice on your phone. And that thing sort of took off, and that helped Lynx take off. So because that was sort of the killer app, of EOS initially. It was
like the Tetris of its day, perhaps.
Yeah. And so, so basically we ran with that, and for almost a year, we were doing that and a number of betting apps and dexes and exchanges on Lynx. And we saw reasonable good growth at the beginning of EOS because EOS had some interesting good growth at the beginning. The problem is, if you look at kind of the EOS traffic, it really kind of hit a wall in 2019, and we kind of saw this coming. We saw like, okay, we're getting the crypto guys in from Ethereum and stuff to come in, but we're not getting the non-crypto people in, and it's not really the EOS becoming a mainstream tool wasn't really happening. And we saw the writing on the wall early because we saw the stats and everything. We saw like
sort of stagnated.
Gambling apps were, there was this huge thing at the very beginning when everybody sort of saw them, but it's not really the killer app of blockchain. You know what I mean? Is gambling. So, I think we realized that, look, this thing is, and we have these problems with the EOS blockchain, and the problems are like, we have this cost of an account,
Yeah.
And imagine launching Twitter where you had to pay $3 for a Twitter account. Nobody would join,
It has to be free. Yeah, it doesn't work.
It has to be free, and it has to be, and moreover, it has to really work on all platforms seamlessly. So it has to work on desktop for free, on web, on Android, on iPhone. It has to work for free. So, we were like at a quandary because, we'd sort of bet on this EOS platform, but we just didn't see a way around it. And so we basically said, listen, can we fork this thing and make something that has a chance,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying guaranteed, but has a chance of going mainstream, right?
Yeah. Before we go to the fork and what you did, like some of the issues that people who may or may not be that familiar with EOS, like staking, what was that all about?
People don't understand staking. Like if you go down on the street and you say, how do you feel about staking some EOS? People are like, what are you talking about? Staking maybe tomatoes if you're growing them, maybe vampires you stake. Like
your reputation, perhaps.
Right. But you stake your reputation. But the idea of like putting some cryptocurrency, which is already a strange concept, right? But putting it in a vault and locking it up for 3 days and then unstaking it 3 days later to get it. I mean, it's so contrary to consumer activity.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine you're on Instagram, right? And you're about to do a selfie, and you click and it says insufficient CPU, stake some Insta coins. You'd be like, what?
Yeah. It's a total barrier.
In order, people are like, nah,
yeah,
done,
And then it's like the buying and selling of RAM. I mean, that's also
RAM makes no sense, and
fries my head.
And then they kept on making even more things. Like now they have a resource exchange called Rex. So you have to go in and rent CPU for a month, and then lock up your EOS for a month, and it's too complicated. Like normal people, it does not pass the sniff test at all. You could just you'd ask 100 people, and 99 would say, "I have no idea what you're talking about." You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
So I think we've developed all this stuff in this super crypto-y world, right? Where people are okay with long hashes and private keys and all this stuff and staking. But like normal people just do not get it. They just do not understand this stuff, So our thing was, look, we got to make it simpler. Whatever it is, we got to make it simpler. And so that's kind of the guiding philosophy of Lynx. Are we there yet? Not 100%, but we've gotten a good first start. And so, but that's our philosophy is let's just make this thing so you click it, you just like any other app, you come in, you sign up, you put your phone number in, you verify it, and you're done. Okay, so it's one app. It works on desktop. It works on Android. It works on iOS, and then you're in and you can do stuff.
That's the philosophy. So you forked. When did you fork?
So we launched our chain 2 weeks ago. So it took us a good 6 months to do all the changes. And it wasn't only changes to the blockchain, but we changed also our wallets and built all that infrastructure to support it, right? Because our view is, look, you can make a fork in 3 minutes of a public open source blockchain, but it has no point if you don't have wallets and stuff that support it. It's again, you've done nothing. Like from a consumer point of view, you haven't achieved anything. So the only thing that makes sense is something where it's like it's a fork, but it's the wallets and everything else understand this thing.
So it's a fully formed fork, if you like. It's not like it's fork and build something.
Yeah, it's a fully formed. It's like a product, And that's kind of the difference between Lynx and every other blockchain in the world, right? Because every other blockchain is just some kind of base layer technology, that does not resonate with the normal person. What Lynx is it's a wallet and these apps that are in the wallet, and the blockchain all working together. That's the goal.
It's super cool. I mean, I was reading about it last night. Mm-hmm. Like, so you have free accounts. Now, if you have a second one, you pay for it. But that makes sense. You log on.
Three accounts, three of them.
Oh, three. Okay. So that's pretty cool. You log on with your social media, bang.
Because we figure that people can, they might have an account for work, or they might have another account that for maybe like, sending stuff that they don't want to be associated with their own name. So they can get 3 accounts. Okay. We don't see, and potentially we could have some paid accounts later, but we don't want infinite amount of accounts, and we don't want 0 accounts either. Okay. So 3 is the number.
The account. So you said your account is Fred. Mine is Jillian.
Right. So so you can just pick whatever name you want. It's not.
And obviously, if there's more Freds, it'd be Fred 2, Fred 3, whatever.
Right. And then we added the idea of putting your avatar on the chain. So I have a picture of you, just like I have a picture of you in Facebook or Twitter or anything else, right? And so that becomes important. Then we also added the ability to have a verified profile, which is now like it's becoming a really interesting status symbol. Like, we're only 2 weeks old and people are like, I want to get verified. How do I get verified? I need the verified status. So it's like the blue check mark in Twitter, Yeah. And people love that. They love like, oh, it's really me. It's not, So those are the fundamental differences. And there's there's a lot of stuff that we don't have. We don't have RAM. We don't have CPU. We don't have network. We don't have Rex. We don't have any of this stuff. So for the user, it's super simple. So
if someone wants to share token, how do they do it? Is it clickable money?
If they just want to send a token, they just go, I'm going to send a token from Fred to Jillian. That's easy. I just send a token to Jillian.
Yeah.
So that's the sending, all that stuff works great, right? So the first base use case of any blockchain is just sending tokens, right? And, I think we've now made that super simple. Like anybody can send any tokens to anybody in the world just by name. You can look them up. So you can see their picture. You can see that it's verified. You can send it. that works fantastic.
Okay. How do you buy tokens
So right now you can swap tokens from EOS, right, on new decks. And that's all built into the app too. Okay. So if you have EOS tokens, you can literally just go into our app and there's a new decks exchange and you can just swap them in there.
Okay.
So it's very easy to get from EOS to Lynx or from Lynx to EOS. You can swap either way, right? And the rate changes every day. But, Lynx tokens are, we're a 2-week-old token. And, I think our market cap is like 3 million and EOS market cap is 3 billion.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're worth 1,000th of what EOS has. But we have probably about 1/3 the active daily users of EOS already.
Wow. Well, I signed up yesterday, so I'm not saying I'm active.
Yeah. So the thing about it is, right now there's actually not that many users on EOS, right? It's so, even though there's a 1,000x difference in price between our tokens, actually, there's a lot of activity going on Lynx, even just for a 2-week-old chain. There's a lot.
So what are people doing on Lynx? What are they doing?
So there's really the thing that you can do. There's really only 3 things you can do right now. You can either play. We have 2 free games that we have that people play. They're Alien Invasion and Bomb Sweeper, and you can just win coins with them. Okay. Right? We got another one coming out next week, which is Solitaire, where you can just finish the Solitaire and you win some points. That's it. Okay.
I like Solitaire.
Yeah, and then we have another one that's sort of a video poker game where it's free. But if you win, you just get some coins. So these are just like retention tools. They're fun. They're things you can do, right? And then the other thing we have is a social app that it's not our app, but we're very active in the development of that. And that one I'm super, super excited about. The idea of that one, it's called Chirp.
Oh, Chirp. Sorry, I'm going Chirp. Chirp.
The idea of Chirp is basically, think of it as kind of a Twitter type thing. That's kind of what it's starting to be. So you have these chirps, right? But they're not free. You actually pay a tiny bit of money to chirp, right? And then you get the same amount of money if somebody likes your chirp.
Okay.
So basically...
And where's the money? If someone likes your chirp, do they pay money to like your chirp?
And you get that money.
Okay.
So basically, it's sort of a way to do paid social media, right?
Okay.
So now you sort of go, okay, well, how's that going to work? How are you going to compete with Twitter? Well, initially it was sort of like, well, let's just try this. Let's see what people like and what are their things. And what we found is a lot of people are very, very interested in this idea, right? And even if the dollar amounts are not that big, everybody loves this idea of making some cryptocurrency by posting, and furthermore, they love the idea of having their own channels. Okay. So you could have Jillian's crypto channel, right? And then you kind of curate that as sort of like a group, right? And everything you post in that group, you get paid.
How do I get people in? Am I like an influencer? Is that how I get people in, or?
Yeah, you can just invite people into Chirp, into your group, and then you can get them in, and it's very simple. So you just have a link. And by the way, we have this influencer program where if you invite people, you get links. So you're effectively getting links every time you invite people in. I think this thing has a potential to be really big because I think the idea of, it's really hard to get paid online. Really hard. You know what I mean? Like you could do a YouTube video and then YouTube doesn't have really something where they're going to pay you, And so I think if you think about it, the idea of having these paid groups, you know what I mean? Like it could be anything from cooking tips to whatever, or trading to crypto trading to anything, right? There's a lot of people who have time on their hands and would be very happy to pay $1, $5, whatever, for some good content, either as a way to access the group or as just like, love that comment, love that big,
Yeah.
So we see that this thing could really be just a great sort of mini economy, right? Because we have this cryptocurrency. It's very easy to give and it's very easy to get. It's real. You can, if you want to spend it, you can send it for EOS. You can sell it. You can, get a little bit of money, or you can keep it. Maybe it becomes the next Bitcoin. Who knows, right? And so, but everybody's sort of into this idea. And so I think this idea of the social economy, where people are sort of paying each other these little microtransactions, is super interesting. And I think the social aspect of that, and furthermore, I think the social aspect of games, that we're building our own games. And I think one of the things we want to do is, like in the Bomb Sweeper game, there's a leaderboard. You can kind of see who else is winning. And I think the idea of social gaming is it's a great thing. You have Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, right? In Ireland, right? And these kind of shows. But how great would it be that if you can play along with it, and maybe you can win too, and everybody's in this room together, and we're all playing this game, Jeopardy or Family Feud or whatever it is that we're playing, or some battle royale where we're all shooting each other. But I love this idea of this community thing, that we're all in this stuff together. And it could start small. It could start with tens, 20s, hundreds, thousands of people. But if we can get to critical mass where everybody's sort of online, just like Telegram is, just like Twitter is, just like Facebook, we're all kind of in the same room, socializing, commenting, chatting, doing all this stuff. I think then we can get, the economies of, here, I'll send you some money, tip, dumb, that can really start working. So that's at least the hope of, and Lynx is uniquely set up to do that right now.
Yeah. Now it is appealing because I read someplace here saying that most protocols are boring, but here with Lynxchain, you've got one-to-one chat, it's social posting. And I think people do like the idea that, I suppose it's like, Facebook has brought in the thing where it's your birthday, they say, do funding, set up a funding thing, which is a bit artificial, and it's, but
yeah, like GoFundMe.
Yeah, and but they put it in, if you mention you got a birthday, they almost force you to put it up. And I'm going to do want my friends to have to pay into my charity for my birthday. That's a bit daft, but I do like the idea that if you like something, you like something. And as you say, because it's micro transactions, it's micro pennies.
Yeah,
it's not hurting. It's like, oh, there's 2 cents for you, whatever, or 3 cents. It's
I mean, it's kind of a game. The whole thing is kind of a game, but it could also become real money, And I think it could be, it could be that, people start really earning a living this way. I am a big believer in kind of remote work and all kinds of this remote economy. I think we're living in this global world, right? But this global world needs like currency, right? Like, I need to be able to pay you a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, thanks for doing this video. You're great. You know what I mean? Somebody watching the video has got to be like, great. I love that. Click. I want to upgrade to Jillian's, secret channel, whatever, her streaming channel. So I think this is, I think what crypto is all about. It's greasing the wheels for these like economies, and we just haven't seen the beginning of that yet.
Because it is community. Absolutely, I totally agree with you. And the things you said at the first, I'm a big fan of EOS, and I love what they're doing, and I love a lot of stuff, but it has kind of stalled for a bit. And I still can't get my head around the RAM stuff, and I'm the CPU stuff. And I'm going, whereas the object, one would imagine, for mass adoption is to make it simple.
We have to make it simple, and we have to give people actual things that they want to do, right? So what do people want? Do people want to play games? Yeah, they want to play games. Like, not everybody wants to play the same games. Corey, who's 29, he loves to play Fortnite. I like to play chess. You might like to play solitaire. So we all like have different things that.
I also like not to play solitaire because it's quite addictive. So don't get me in those addictive games.
But I think these are things that people like to do, and I think social is something that people like to do. I think, socializing, earning a little bit of money, tipping, these are all things people want to do.
Yeah.
So I think we need no CPU and everything else. That's what is the table stakes, in my opinion, right? Like, if you have that, you're not going anywhere. Then the question is, okay, great. So now you got this great cryptocurrency that's like super fast, super cheap. There's no barriers to entry. Now what? And so that's kind of where we are, we're starting to see, like with Chirp and with these games that we're developing. And, we're starting to see like, okay, that was not hard. People are going to Lynx and going, that's not hard. Now what? I want to do something. That's the next step. So, we need content. We need more games. We need more social things, and we need more people in there.
I can give you loads of content. I'm big on content. I generate a lot of content.
Content is key. And content is not only games, but it's also like words, right? Like, if you have a chat room that has lots of words in it and a lot of activity, that's content. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. So tell me, who you mentioned you're looking for influencers. Did I see Joel and Travis?
Yeah, joined. Yeah, I didn't talk to them either yet. That's Kurt. It was interesting when he was like, yeah, Joel and Travis actually signed up, and he goes, I walked them through it, and he goes, they signed up themselves, and they said that was painless, and he goes, I don't think they've actually seen that experience in crypto, and so the fact that these guys can get in and sort of just get the gist of what's going on in such an early product was like, oh, wow, that's great. That it really proves that it can go mass market, Do
you expect non-crypto influencers to enter the space?
Yes, 100%, right? So I think, and especially with this social stuff, right? I think that's where we're going to see it, right? Because if we get the social stuff with, kind of paid channels and things like that, sky's the limit. You know what I mean? Because, like I have a 12-year-old and he's got some cryptocurrency. Would he pay to join Ninja's private channel? Of course he would. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a huge Ninja fan, right? The idea of joining, something that really has nothing to do with cryptocurrency, but just as a means of, tipping and stuff. And he's on Twitch all the time.
Yeah.
They understand this concept of tipping and paying, or using Fortnite bucks to pay for skins. They understand this. So, now it's a question of what kind of virtual stuff can they buy?
Wow.
Can they buy an hour of Jillian's time? Can they, maybe it's beauty consulting from one of the Kardashian sisters or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it could be anything, right? So I definitely think we're on the cusp of that transition from this is just a geek thing to this is a mainstream thing. As a guy who's been through the internet and watched the internet grow, I saw this with the internet. It went from geeks to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And people start like, I wouldn't buy a book on the internet. I wouldn't buy a dress on the internet.
Or take social media, right? Yeah. So I had a social media company, Social Network, which I sold to MTV in 2006. Okay. Right before Facebook really took off. It was only in these Ivy League schools and a few other schools at the time. And, I'd go around, talk to investors and stuff, and everybody would be like, yeah, Fred, like social networking, that's a teenage thing. That's not going to be a mainstream thing. I could see maybe my daughter using it, on MySpace. So, and then 6 years later, Facebook goes public. I don't know, $100 billion valuation. And it's clearly on a path to take over the world, right?
Unless something else comes up and takes its place.
But what I'm just trying to say is I feel like blockchain right now, it's in this very geeky, not really useful, not mainstream kind of thing. But the minute we cross this chasm to where I can explain to somebody, you know what, you could be earning some money on this thing. Go here, get your friends to sign up or get people online to sign up in these rooms and or go spend some time on these games. And if they can get that, if I can get that, communicate that value proposition to 1,000 people, well, then I probably can communicate it to 1 million. So this stuff scales very well nowadays, right? So I think we can assume that the failure of blockchain is not because it wasn't sufficiently marketed. It was marketed. Just people can't figure it out.
It's still too difficult. I mean, I'm in this space for nearly 3 years.
It's too difficult. So my point is, can we get the stuff so it's simple?
Yeah.
I think we're going to get it. And my bet is we're going to get it this year.
Wow.
I think this year is the year where we move from, this is for geeks, these are the addresses, blah, 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 to, there's a bunch of stuff happening. There's a bunch of these cryptos that I think we're going to be the leader in this. But, I feel like there will be that aha moment where, how many people you're on Lynx? You got what? You have more actives than on Ethereum? I think we're going to have more daily active users than Ethereum. I do, because Ethereum doesn't have any daily active users. They have 10,000 dApps, 10,000 daily active users on their dApps.
And what time frame? Give me a prediction. So I'll put it in my diary. What time frame?
Yeah, no, look, I think this year we are going to surpass Ethereum as, and I think we're going to be the number one. I'm not saying it from a monetary point of view, right? So I think most of these people are going to go there and they're going to have $2.50. You know what I mean? So it may not translate into a huge price appreciation or anything, but I think we can get the average person in Ireland playing a game or socializing or trying to make a little bit of money online or building their own channel or something. I think that's doable. You know what I mean? It's not a crazy thing. As long as we make the user interface easy, as long as we have the cryptocurrency, so it's not just like Chuck E. Cheese points, they can actually use money and they can make money. And, look, I think most people, if they could figure out how to make $500 online, they'd be like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, I just made $500 online from my living room with this.
Wow. I was going to say, on my phone, it tells me how much screen time I do. And I've got laptops all around the screen, but it's because I'm on social media the whole time. I'm sharing content. I'm looking at content. I'm commenting. And I'm very fast because I'm so busy the whole time. But yeah,
right.
If that 4 hours a day that I'm on my phone was actually dollar value, happy days.
Well, happy days. And, then you could start, it's sort of like, I remember when Web 2.0 came out, right? So the internet came and it crashed. And then, you couldn't use the word .com in polite conversation anymore. It's like, sort of like, what do you do? I'd be like, internet. People are like, you're in the internet porn business? I'm like, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm trying to do stuff on the internet, advertising, whatever. Like, people be like, the internet, that's just bad for us. It's bad. And then there was this period right in 2004, and it felt like the internet may be coming back again. You know what I mean? And they called it Web 2.0, and everybody was everybody felt that something was in the air, right? And I feel like we need to get into that phase in blockchain where people are like, yeah, I don't know if it's working yet. I don't know if I can quite make money yet, but something's happening. It's a revolution, right? And once we see that beginning of it, right, I think we are going to, it's just going to be like, people are going to realize that, okay, this is really kind of the new internet, right? Which is all this money that's easily movable. I can make money anywhere. I can spend money on all these different things frictionlessly on these different apps. I can build an app. Apple doesn't have to take 30% anymore. I can sell non-fungible goods, which are these tokens, which could, give you access to a ticket or an event, or, so selling tickets or selling passes for your website. I just think that there's so much we can do now. We're on this cusp, and it's not going to, I don't think it's going to go this year, but I think this year is when we're going to see that it's going to happen. If I had to put it, I feel like it's going to be clear by the end of 2020 that this stuff that the train has left the station. That's where my prediction, right?
I love it.
And I don't feel like the train has left the station yet. Unfortunately, the train left the station and it didn't. I mean, like 2019 was not a great year, right? From my perspective, because 2019, the amount of users on the EOS network at the beginning of 2019 was greater than the number of users on the EOS network at the end of 2019. There wasn't any more dApps used. It was kind of a nothing year in crypto, right? Bitcoin went up, but, but that was it. It wasn't like we have all these new users and these new converts coming into the crypto world. I think 2020 could be that year, where we start getting some real users, and they don't have to put tons of money. They just have to start using it. They have to use apps. They have to use wallets, and they have to sort of buy into this idea that, maybe there's something there. Maybe I need to take this thing a little serious. Maybe it's just a game. That's fine. But maybe it's like, I need to have $100 worth of crypto or $1,000 worth of crypto. Well, $100 is fine. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So that's kind of what we're shooting for. We really want to see if we can get this mass market in for just a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, can we get them? And, if we can get them in, then maybe we can get them to buy a little bit of Bitcoin, too. Maybe we can start, being their wallet for how they look at crypto. I feel like there's this huge mass of people that just, they don't get it. I'm sure when you talk to people around you, a lot of people are like, I don't understand this stuff at all. Why would I?
Totally. But also, and I think one of the things that you're doing is the impediments to entry. It's difficult. It doesn't make sense. It's not an experience that we're used to. So we go RAM and this and private keys and long keys and so.
Yeah. Well, also look, it's a community thing. If people are, if you take something that you're really passionate about, I don't know, what you're really passionate other than crypto, like, for example, I love classical music, right?
Okay.
So if there was a way for me to tip my favorite pianists and stuff, right? I would totally do it. I would love to support up and coming classical musicians, and I would totally join their paid little forums and groups and be a patron of these classical music people. So that's an example of, I have a friend who's a classical guitarist, and he's almost at the poverty level, and he's one of the best classical guitarists in the world. And, there's a lot of people like this who I think could really benefit tremendously from, lower friction to selling things. And, in his case, it's selling compositions. So he makes, or scores, And so I think that we're onto something big. I think, it's an open question. Will we crack it? Will somebody else crack it? Hopefully somebody crack it. Hopefully collectively we crack this thing, because I do think the world will be an amazing place if we do. And, and part of the thing, I grew up in France and I have a place in France. And I think people should, and look, Ireland's a lovely place too. And people should be able to live wherever they want and work wherever they want. They don't have to live in San Francisco, which is, not a great place anymore, and paying these crazy rents and everything. So I love this idea of people being just distributed, working from wherever they want, earning some money, having this freedom that, and to me, crypto is part of that. You want to move from Ireland to Portugal, because you're tired of the rain. Great.
Go for that.
You take your business to Portugal. How great is that? So that's part of what I see all this stuff going. And that's what, it excites me as a human being, because I keep on, look, before the internet, obviously it's just such a great thing. We can't even imagine living without it now, right? I feel like cryptocurrency is going to be that too, right? The idea of having your money and your assets and your tokens and your digital certificates of value, and you carry them with you in your wallet and nobody can get them from you. I just love that idea. I think that's just a great, great, great idea. So I'm very passionate about that, and I want to see it happen. And it's a tall order, building all that stuff, but it doesn't have to happen for millions of people. We got to get that core base of people, who just love this idea, and we have to give them something that they can rally around and tell people. So that's my mission: is can we evangelize this stuff to people, where people are like, this is cool. If we all get rich on it, that's great, but that's not actually the goal. The goal is to try to build this new economy.
Well, and I think as well, what you've done is say the simplification of the application. That's huge, because nobody wants to be delving through stuff. So
it's very odd because nobody seems to care. It was like, I was just mentioning this today to one of my friends, and it's like, it's amazing in blockchain how unproduct focused people are. Like, they don't seem to care about usability or users or interface or anything, but like you talk to the person on the street and that's all they care about. So it's like they're almost living in this different world. And I know you're going to have, Andreas on the show, on your thing, right? And look, Bitcoin is fantastic, but Bitcoin is so hard to use, right? It is just incredibly difficult to use. And if you're like Andreas, you don't care. It's like, great, I got my keys, I got my wallet, I got this. He's super technical, right? But like my 80-year-old mom is not Andreas, and I just dread the idea of trying. And I actually got her some Bitcoin, and and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give her. I got this Bitcoin card here, and I can give her this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what she's going to do is she's going to put this in her safe, right?
Yeah.
I don't think she can use this card.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like the idea, but like that's the problem. Bitcoin's not built for usability.
Yeah.
You know, it's built as a store of value. And we need to think of something that's more usable for every day. So that's kind of what I think. I think Bitcoin's great, but like Bitcoin's not going to be a mass market thing ever.
It doesn't have to be either. You know, it's not.
It doesn't have to be. Look, your Bitcoin is your savings account.
Yeah.
It's your money in the bank, you know, for a rainy day. And that's great. You know, perfect. But if you're going to be buying, liking somebody's posts or doing this or doing that, and playing a game, never going to happen on Bitcoin. So that's why I think that there's a big opportunity in crypto, which is actually bigger than Bitcoin, which is, I mean, Bitcoin's a big idea, right? Because it's replacing a lot of banks and everything else. But I think the other bigger idea is just the idea of kind of ubiquitous crypto in these apps and, you know, in social media and all these other things. So just free flowing, hundreds and hundreds of transactions a day, little tiny micropayments. That's like the goal, man.
Micropayments and a nice UX is the combination.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's what we need, you know. And you know, you go to a site and you pay a little tiny piece of money and it's painless, you know, and you just okay, no problem. No problem. You know, so that's where we're going, I think.
So you're 2 weeks live now.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen the next 6 months?
Oh, well, the next 6 months. So the first thing we're doing is right now where it's all about content, right? So we need to it's not only about getting people on the system, but it's keeping them there, right? And making sure that they're on the system a lot, right? So there's really, we need a lot more games, and we're going to develop those games, some of them ourselves, but we also want to show people how these games, what a good game looks like, right? Because I really have to say, I don't think that most of these games that have been developed so far are very good. And they haven't been thought through well. They haven't used the potential of what, you know, wallets and blockchain can do. So we're going to build much better games that are going to have multiplayer games, single player games, and we're going to show some of them ourselves. And hopefully, you know, within 6 months, we will have some great proof of concepts that we can then get some of the bigger game studios to say, aha, okay, I like what you're doing there. Now, let's take Candy Crush and put that thing on Lynx. Let's take Fortnite and start working as, you know, having the skins of Fortnite be sellable as D-goods. You know, so that's getting the games, getting a really good, you know, coming in really good arcade, you know, of games there, and really emphasizing quality over quantity, I think is key.
But it's true. A good game will keep you hooked. You don't need multiple games, you know, if you want
really
to enjoy.
And if you have multiple bad games, it also has a really bad first-time user thing. So one of my good friends was looking at Lynx, and he's like, you know, Fred, I went on Lynx desktop. This was the EOS games, and he's like, you know, I got your desktop, and I really didn't find the games that much fun. And I'm like, yeah, that's crypto, man. You know, it's like you got a bunch of really kind of second tier casino games, and you got some other games that are just not compelling, right? And so, you know, it's not us. Those aren't our games. They're just, you know, this is the games on EOS. They're not great. And so we need better ones, right? And then we need some more social stuff. You know, we need more glue. That basically there's chat, there's posting, there's notifications when somebody posted about your stuff. And there's social apps like this Chirp thing that basically you can come back to, and they give you a reason to come back. So both of those ideas, both the social stuff that is kind of crypto-enabled social, and these games that are either for free or player versus player type games, you know, that'll all be fully built and a whole bunch of users within 6 months.
So people want to download the wallet, just go to the App Store or the Android, and it's
so here's the thing. So Android, there's zero problem. We can put as many apps as we want, right? On desktop, we can also do as many apps as we want. We have full control. On iOS, we have some limitations as to what Apple will do. Right? So Apple will not allow us to put an app store within our app. Now we can get around this. We can have a web app store that you can then use and highlight your. But iOS is less. We have limited capability on iOS right now. We may have some free games that are just purely free to play games on iOS. I don't know.
Okay.
But I would say, like, we're definitely going to have desktop and Android are definitely the two places to go. So I would say if you don't see anything on iOS, go on desktop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it may be that there is stuff there, but it's just you can't see it, when you're playing. So
And Lynx is Lynx.
Lynx.
Very simple.
It's very simple.
Brilliant. Well, Fred, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks a lot for your time. And
no, it's cool. I say I've signed up.
We'll be sending you updates and stuff, and push notifications on your phone. And
actually, luckily, I'm moving from Apple to Android, but I'm not going to do it when I come back. I'm traveling for a few days. So I'm going to check it out because I love it.
What kind of Android are you getting?
I have no idea. My daughter bought it for me. I'm a Luddite. And I don't want to change to my Apple. I'm going, no, I like my Apple.
Well, they're good. Now, the Androids are equally good.
Oh, of course they are. Of course they are. It's just change. Change is like, that's why I'm not even looking at it until I come back from Davos, and then I will have a look at it and I'll see. Yeah.
All right. Well, have fun in Davos, Switzerland.
Yeah. Yeah. If I don't break a leg and if I can, don't talk to me. Davos is chaos. Chaos. I'm not dreading.
Yeah.
Davos.
I've been to Davos. Somebody said they could get me an invite for Davos, and I was like, yeah. Okay, but enjoy it. I think that'll be a zoo in and of itself,
I think
right?
so. I'm looking forward to finding my hotel where I'm staying. Oh, don't even start. I'm going to start. I'm going to pack my bag now.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So thank you again so much for your time.
And we'll talk soon sometime.
Very good. Thank you indeed. Fred Krueger from Lynx.
Bye.